Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott Mackenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk. Thank you for your continued support of the number one industrial-related podcast in the universe that celebrates you, industrial professionals all around the world. You're bold, you're brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you collaborate, you solve problems each and every day. That's why Industrial Talk is here for you. You are the hero in this story. Thank you very much for what you do. Now, he's been on the podcast before. We've done some work together. His name is James Soto. He's back in the hot seat. We're talking about manufacturing. We're talking about resources that are available to manufacturers in this rapidly changing industrial world we live in. Let's get cracking with the conversation. There's his stat card right there. It's chock full of stuff. Industrial Strength Marketing is the company. He knows more than me. Knows more than most. He's quite passionate about what he does. And he's got a major league focus on helping manufacturers succeed. Love it. He's right there. Right there in what's taking place in the world of manufacturing. However, before we get into the conversation, I want to point out some stuff. One, you need to amplify your message. Yes, you do. You need more ears and eyes to what you do. And you need to do it yesterday. I think the world is at a point where it's escalating. You need to be more aggressive. You need to be doing it with speed and purpose. Industrial Talk is here for you. You go out to Industrial Talk. You connect. You'll connect with me right here. If you're looking out on the video, I'm pointing to me right there. And you connect to me. And then we have this conversation. And we get you on the podcast. And we talk about what your solution, where you're going, what's your vision, all of that. Industrial Talk is a resource for the industrial world, and you need to be on it. Yeah, absolutely. We're constantly expanding. It is important. You need to be a part of it. All right, on with the conversation. James Soto, hot seat, talking about manufacturing, talking about some of the changes that are taking place, talking about the fact that you need to be engaged. You can't just sit on the sideline here. It's just too much at stake. You got to keep up. You got to keep up with all the innovation that's taking place. So that means you need to educate. You need to collaborate, James Soto. And you need to innovate as much as you possibly can to ensure that you have a business that is resilient. Here's the interview. Well, James, welcome back to Industrial Talk. You're amazing. I'm looking at your posts out there on LinkedIn, and you're making waves, good waves, but you're making waves in the world of industry. How are you doing today?
I am well. I love manufacturing, and any day we get to focus on this sector is a good day.
Don't you think it's an exciting time for manufacturing?
Yeah, it's an exciting time. And, the most exciting times are often the most uncertain times. And that's where there's so much possibility, and you're balancing with the potential and the challenges and the fears that are out there.
Isn't it fluid? It's just pretty cool. I love the energy.
Yeah,
I don't have the answers.
If we all did.
Yeah, I just one of the areas that and we'll talk about, and I digress. Whatever, we can do this. Is this push to reshore, nearshore, all of the stuff, and making it, and the pursuit of capital to be able to help that along. I think of people. It's all good. It's all cool. Bring it on back. That's neat. But it's the people side. It's like, that's demand on people.
Yeah, it's I think the most amazing thing about manufacturing. It's the men and the women, the people of all ages. and how much they represent of the power and the potential of manufacturing to change the world for the better.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Solving problems, making things happen, making the world a better place, most definitely. So that people have not heard you in the past on Industrial Talk, I'd like for you to just give us a little 411 on who James is, and then we're going to venture into this manufacturing extension partnership and go wherever we want to go.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it. Well, thanks for having me, Scott. You're a legend, a good friend, and you are a true industrial, a person engaged in industry. It's actually a thing. You can be an industrial, and so it's great to be on Industrial Talk. This is the show, and so it's just the highlight of my week. So, yeah, so we're talking a little bit about the manufacturing extension partnership, and I think I should start with some full disclosures. I've had the pleasure to work with the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, which is comprised of centers all over the country. Some are working in combination with universities like Georgia Tech or the University of Tennessee Center for Industrial Services. Some are nonprofits. And they have a lot of different makeups, but they fall under the umbrella of the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. And so the biggest concern I have about this conversation are all the darn acronyms that are within government, manufacturing, and the MEP National Network. And my disclosure is I got to know them when I saw this funny thing happen where the National Association of Manufacturers, Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, FMA, and then I saw the MEP National Network and the Manufacturing Institute all kind of getting together and thinking, hey, we're going to launch this manufacturing day thing. And I saw them kind of first take their first attempt, and I reached out to them and I said, this is amazing. They really want to focus on how can we attract the next generation of people into the manufacturing industry. How do we really create a movement here? And I volunteered our services, and I said, we want to get behind this. So we proceeded to help brand, build, launch, and scale manufacturing, like little old industrial us back then. And we got to know the folks at the Manufacturing Extension Partnership there. And they are an organization that has, literally thousands of people throughout the country meeting with manufacturers, small and medium-sized manufacturers especially, helping them create jobs, create economic impact, and really help them grow their businesses. And right now they've been centered on advanced manufacturing, to your point, reshoring. How do they focus on supply chain and really addressing the skilled labor gap in manufacturing? So, rewind to fast forward, we got involved there. We literally put everything we had into launching Manufacturing Day, and we got to see their solutions consultants out there meeting, like in rural areas. They're able to hit places that nobody goes, and they were out there promoting on the first Friday of every October. It's Manufacturing Day, and them with all the partners and so many people throughout the country were able to get manufacturers to open their doors to their communities, especially the workforce. And that's why I'm so passionate about this organization, is because they're the ground game. They're going to Hohenwald, Tennessee. They're going to Iowa. They're going to that manufacturer in Puerto Rico. Like, they're going everywhere, and they are really focused on so many things, and that's where, seeing these people every day together bring people literally into doors. They actually provide solutions. They have a revenue mandate, and they're providing services, Lean Six Sigma, helping them, guide them through generational issues, and as small manufacturers, and so many things. And each institute today now may be focusing on, the different evolving advanced manufacturing technologies, and let's say manufacturing edge, bringing that into Colorado. And so it's a big canvas, it's a big story, but they're under threat. and they have been for many, many years, around funding, around is this the best
Yeah.
vehicle? So I wrote an article because my final disclosure, um, a number of years ago, we came under the umbrella to work with the NIST and the MEP national network at the federal level, and we've been helping them for a long time, promote manufacturing, promote those interests out there, and we actually branded the MEP National Network was our first project, and we've worked with them on modern makers and all of these great things to get the word out. And so now, as the things have changed with the government and procurement has happened, and a lot of uncertainty around their funding has put them under threat. We a number of people have really stood up and reversed the defunding temporarily of the network, and they get typically go through rounds of competes. They have to show an economic impact, and now more than ever they're telling their story. And so I'm here today because I want to let people know about
Yeah.
this amazing organization and how it's under threat.
So I'm going to have to try to simplify it because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. It's an exciting program. I get it. But if I'm a manufacturer, I work with this resource, this organization, to be able to introduce these new technology. It allows me to see what's out there. Is that what's the premise for me as a manufacturer? Why do I need to be involved with this organization?
I think it's support, it's community, it's expertise, everything from how to make your shop run more efficiently to deal with funding issues and opportunities
Very good.
for capital. To you couldn't imagine how many things that the organization has found where they find a need and fill it, and that's where community and a network and an organization with resources and
Right.
connections comes through. um,
Yeah.
there is nothing to replace the MEP National Network. And right now, what I've been doing is writing articles about. I took a big risk, I thought, in my mind, which was to start with saying, what's the case against the MEP? And
Right.
I wrote an article. I just posted on LinkedIn, and it got thousands and thousands of impressions and views and engagement.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
and then I wrote another article, which was the case for the MEP National Network, and you think about people ranting versus raving on social media. You typically see a lot of reactions to rants. you know Negative is an activator, and positivity is. But it really showed that there was this great opportunity to start a conversation. And the unfortunate fact is, because of the situation we have now, in terms of the environment in the public sector,
Uh-huh.
a lot of these folks can't speak out, I've come to find. And so they've confidentially have been telling me what's going on. And so there was this big pushback to say, let's tell our story. Let's encourage our representatives to fight for funding. And what's been happening is, it the lack of the removal of funding on a number of MEP centers was reversed for a year. And so they're not done with it all yet, but they've been steadily, all in tranches of states, have
Yeah.
been provided as extensions, and some have up to 2 years. So we're not done yet, but there's just this network. There's irreplaceable.
I don't see how, and this is just my little brain working here. I don't see how you can ignore a resource like this if I'm in manufacturing, given the realities of what's taking place in the market and the speed at which advanced manufacturing is evolving. I I need, if I was the manufacturer, I need a resource to keep me as current as I possibly can to ensure that I have a resilient manufacturing business going forward. And that is again, to your point, I think it's a collaboration model because you don't have all the answers. And there are so many businesses in these remote areas that need that support. How does an organization like MEP prioritize with all of the stuff? I mean, there's just stuff. It's noisy. It's crazy out there in the world of manufacturing. How do they prioritize their focus so that they don't just get running around like a bunch of cats?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the best way I think I can explain it is they prioritize based on the distinct nature of any given manufacturing environment. One state, one region may not be the same as another. And so by having in essence, an organization that's there and on the pulse of what's going on in that state, Nebraska and Iowa are going to be significantly
Yeah.
different than California and Texas, and so
Yeah.
and so when you really look at that, they really kind of help, because if you look at what's happening in Nebraska right now, they really are challenged with labor. There's fear of what's happening with their workforce. Um, and so what's really interesting of how they approach it is they look at the need and they fill it, and a lot of the MEP centers are very diverse towards and understand the nature of the issues that their manufacturing communities face. So they're really helpful. So right now, I can't even tell you. I can't, because I follow every single one of them. And all the things they're posting about what they're doing, they're talking about the impact, to your question, of tariffs and how that's going to impact them. And what are these vehicles that may be available, or information that could be available to them? So think about this. We need the attention, expertise, and resources of people who in manufacturing, for manufacturing, and to help each other grow. And their mandate is to help these businesses grow, create jobs, and really, they actually are evaluated on a number of measures when they compete, and they have to demonstrate economic impact. And so, the challenge there is that as they're audited, they have to make sure these numbers stand up. So when you look at the case against the MEPs, there's concern that, okay, well, could this be done better in the private sector? Are there, is this truly the impact that's happening? I think the bigger question is, um, how much immeasurably is happening for the better than people don't even realize. And what's interesting is the MEPs that have been affiliated initially with the Advanced Manufacturing Institutes under Manufacturing USA. And those are all of these emerging technologies that we're working with academia to bring in this advancing technology and connect the manufacturing community to it. And that could be through research and development grants. That could be lots of different things. So there's just this network, this manufacturing
Yeah.
network that and community that, there's no answer, and the kicker is there's no answer for it.
Yeah.
If it isn't here anymore. And some will figure out a way to live on, become nonprofits, do different things, but effectively dismantling that would be devastating.
Yeah, and I get it. I get that sense. I see a gap among others. This is sort of when I was listening to your answer. A couple of things that I think need greater analysis is, one, the regulatory environment and how it regionally impacts. Like, the regulatory environment in California is different than in Nebraska. It just is. And these organizations, and this would be a huge risk for me as a manufacturer, not knowing the regulatory environment. I find in industry, specifically manufacturing, because we're talking about so many entities involved, that a clarity into those regulatory, those tariffs and others need to be amplified because if I was a manufacturer, I don't know where I would go for clarity, for real solid insights and accuracy on these impacts.
Yeah, it's a great thought. It's a great comment. It's an important comment. Where do you go? And I think I think I am maybe a little, in some aspect, uniquely kind of positioned to help answer, because a lot of the work that we've done with NIST and the MEP National Network has been to promote what the heck is going on. The manufacturing extension partnership are the megaphone. They are speaking about these things. And despite all of this, my biggest pet peeve in all of manufacturing, for all the resources and all the amazing things, the left hand often doesn't even know the right hand is there. Is And that is the
Yes.
kicker. So what we do a lot is present these case studies. We talk about these stories. We talk about tariffs. We talk about policy impacts. These organizations, they are actually as much communications organizations as they are consulting organizations, and they provide services. They get paid for it because their mandate is also to make money while they're at it. So when you look at all the the parameters and the let's say some of the rules of engagement, and even the constraints of the MEP National Network, they have to do a lot. They have to prove a lot. They have to make money. They have to show impact. And I think everyone's got the right intent in terms of how do we really create this amazing national manufacturing network. Actually, that's the name we try to brand it to. They didn't pick it. It was the one we were going to go with, because we really wanted to make it very simple for people to understand, like, who would want to mess with our national manufacturing network. And that's
Yeah.
actually what the manufacturing extension partnership is, and what we call the MEP national network. Yeah, so that there's this great thing. There's absolutely opportunity for it to be even better. But I think, me being an optimist, I think to the extent it's a forcing factor of what's happening now for change. And by the way,
Yeah.
this was outlined, aspects of it uh, alluded to in the Project 2025 initiative.
Yeah.
Um, and this has been a very long time, um, you know, issue, knowing that, in certain aspects of policymakers, that, there are folks that think it needs to exist, not exist, be something different. And, the fact is, we have to change for the better. And I think we should welcome change, because that's where we see growth, and that's where we stand today.
Yeah. I'm back to the manufacturer. I agree with you 100%. I go back to the manufacturer. It's incumbent upon these individuals, these manufacturers across the country, nationally. They provide an incredible service, a solution, employment, impact, all of this stuff. They do that. And it's important for us as a nation to support that. We have to do everything that we can within our power to be able to help them succeed, help them continue to create these businesses that will have long-term positive impact going forward. What happens if MEP, and if I'm in Nebraska, we'll use that again. Where do I go and get answers if that doesn't exist?
Yeah, I think, the truth is that we, as humanity, have the best tools for information gathering, in the history of ever.
Yeah.
I think we just have to understand that there's that. But where can we go? And who can? I think the more the question is, who can walk this out with us? Who can walk this out with me? Let's say, as a manufacturer. And I think that is the superpower. And the question is, where do I go? Um, or or where do I reach out to? And so very simply, as you look at the federal level, anyone can look online for the MEP National Network, the manufacturing extension partnerships. Each of them are branded a little bit differently in every state. You have Fuse Hub in New York, you got Impact Dakota, and they're all affiliated and part of the network. So I think the key thing is we have a lot of options, and the argument is a lot of these things can happen in in the private sector, but I think given just the network, the connections to the university and industrial programs, the connectivity to Manufacturing USA and all these emerging manufacturing, advanced manufacturing institutes, just people don't understand. I mean, I can give you 1,500 acronyms of places you can go.
And I got to tell you, that's a bit confusing. Just FYI, these
It
acronyms,
is.
and a confused mind, it doesn't make a decision. I see it. What you just said. If I'm a manufacturer again in Nebraska, and I'm on a journey, and you are on a journey. It's changing drastically out there at a rapid
Yep.
pace. So I'm on a journey.
It's the worst that it's about to start hitting.
Exactly. I think we're just beginning.
The letters are going out.
Yeah. It is. I'm looking for somebody, a person, a connection that I can trust to help me along with my journey. I need that Sherpa, the trusted Sherpa, to do that, because I would imagine, and you have the fingers on the pulse out there in the marketplace. There are a lot of people hanging shingles saying we can do X, Y, Z, and can they really do X, Y, Z? I don't know, but there has to be some trusted entity out there that helps that I don't have to deal with that drama, and I know that I can trust them.
Yeah, I think it's very simple, and you're right about the acronyms. It's the biggest challenge that I believe that organization faces. It and to the extent that you make things, when you hear something, it's self-explanatory. And one of the things that I think when you're looking to reach out to folks, you have to speak in a language that gets to the point. So like when you talked about the XYZ program, and kind of some of our advice has always been talk about like the more of like how to reduce your overhead costs.
Exactly.
So because the way we communicate is really, I think, the key thing that when we're looking at where we're going. But I think it's ultimately boils down to, I mean, I'm OG Scott, like how, how do we get to people and organizations that have real working relationships with it? And it's not always having every solution, but I want to help you and point you in the right direction, even if it's not me. That is what I think every manufacturer needs to, because we're just caught up in the day to day of all of our businesses.
Yeah.
And I think we just have to really realize that, but what are we doing to be connected to this community? I think, and actually it's not just that, it's being part of it. And I think that's really where I think this organization shines. And it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm big on three things on a stool. I always say it all the time. I might bore people to death, but I'm pretty passionate about it. And that's the ability for successful companies have the ability to educate, which there's a ton of stuff, and making sure that they continue to educate, collaborate. You have to be able to collaborate because you don't have all the answers. There's somebody that was on a journey and say, don't do that or do that. That's always truly valuable. And then there's this, because whether we like it or not, is that innovation. We need to continue to pursue that innovation. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is through a network. I mean, there's no other way of getting around it. I don't see any other. You can't be an island.
And what's interesting is manufacturing is we have a wonderful constraint in this modern world. We literally have to be often where the things are made because we're making them, and I think that's our big advantage. And I also love how the major trade associations like AMT and FMA, and here we go with
Yeah,
acronyms again,
acronyms.
but let's call it the AMT and IMTS. Like, hey, we're the manufacturing technology community. We're the fabricators community.
Exactly.
And I think once you're in, but I think the key thing is you have a tribe and a bunch of tribes out there, and I find it hard to believe that, saying, what, that's great, that community, but I don't need that.
Yeah.
And I think, to the extent that we have literally in almost every state these tribes, and we've got these people, and we've got these shaman and Sherpas that take you up the mountain, and they heal you, the shamans, and you have the wise person that's been there, done that, and just it's so relieving when you're having a big problem as a manufacturer, and someone says, "Hey, I feel you. Did you know we got this, and this? You can go here, here, and here." It's like overwhelming, but you're hearing possibilities of solutions and resources and knowledge, and really applied work. They go down onto the shop floor. That is it, and I think we can't underemphasize that. So that, when we look at Sparta, Tennessee, when we look at Duluth, when we look across the country, there's this great organization that all you have to do is reach out, and I guarantee you, you'll have found a friend.
Yeah, see, that's great. I like that. And that's a good segue on figuring out how I can contact James Soto. Just because you were hitting home runs throughout the conversation, what's the best way to get a hold of you there, James?
The best way to get a hold of me is through my business, Industrial Strength Marketing, our studio, Industrial Studios, but really LinkedIn. I love that community. That's where I'm working on what's I'm thinking about MEP rumors, what's going on in this, because this is seriously an organization under threat, but there's also, I'm an optimist, there's this opportunity for change for the better, Kaizen, and I like Gemba Kaizen, going to the place where value is made to affect change for the better. That's, and I think that's where I think we stand when it comes to the MEP National Network.
You never disappoint, my friend. It's always an honor to have you on the show. You're amazing. Kudos.
You're the best, man. It's good catching up. You're a byproduct of your wonderful wife.
Yes. Thank you very much. I have to agree with you. I can't deny that. You're absolutely.
You need to say hi for me.
I will. All right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. We're going to have all the contact information for James out on Industrial Talk, so fear not. Reach out to him. Find out more. You're in the world of manufacturing. This is a must-connect individual, so make it happen. All right, we will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
You go out to Industrial Talk. You click on the connection to James Soto, and you put this on your priority list to connect with James, have a conversation with them, and I guarantee you're going to be better for it. He's that good. James Soto. Industrial Strength Marketing is the organization. We're passionate about manufacturing. And if there isn't a topic of conversation that happens on a daily basis, it's manufacturing. James Soto. All right, we're building a platform dedicated to industrial professionals like you. You want to be on the show? You contact me. You go out to industrialtalk.com. You reach out, say, connect, and you'll be talking to me, and then we'll have a conversation. It's just that easy. Your story needs to be told. It's that important. All right, be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with James, and you're going to change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.